Okay, well, good evening. Welcome and namaste. We are excited to have you here joining us this evening with the webinar here with Dr. Shashi. It's provided by Vande Wellness and the highly experienced Ayurvedic physician, Dr. Shashi. The focus topic for tonight is Ayurvedic herbs for daily use. My name is Chrissy, and I'm a wellness coach at Vande Wellness, and I will be the moderator and helping out with the meeting this evening. So to start, we will hear from Dr. Shashi about the daily use of Ayurvedic herbs, and then we will have some time where you can ask questions and get some answers. So during that time, you can either type your question in the chat box and we will read your question out, or you can raise your hand using the reactions and ask your questions. But first, let me introduce Dr. Shashi. She is the head of the Department of Preventative Medicine and Yoga at Davantri Ayurvedic Medical College in India. Additionally, she has authored several books on Ayurveda and yoga, including her book titled Yoga Body Anatomy. Her upcoming books include Ayurveda Wellness and Yoga Injuries. Dr. Shashi specializes in treating muscle, bone, and joint-related injuries with individualized yoga practices. Over the past 15 years, she has been committed to providing authentic Ayurvedic therapies and helping people live a holistic, balanced lifestyle through proper nutrition and exercise. She crafts programs tailored to an individual's body constitution and offers solutions based on the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda. So welcome, everybody, and welcome, Dr. Shashi. Oh, I think you're muted.
Unmute, please. Yep.
Sorry for that. Thank you, Chrissy. Hello, everyone. Namaste. I welcome you all for the educative series. And it's really appreciable that you took time to help yourself educate about the most important topic, which we are going to discuss today, that is to use herbs into daily life. Of course, there are many different types of herbal tradition, like the Chinese one, the African one, similarly Ayurvedic one. Today we'll more emphasize on the Ayurvedic herbs for a daily usage. The talk will be more in a way helping you get an overall idea of how the usage of the herbs can optimize the benefit with a very minimum dosage when you use it very effectively. I mean, there can be a lot of differences when it comes to using the herb for a different necessary. Herbs are nothing new for us. You know, in Indian cooking or in any different culinaries, we do see the herbs are used as spices. Most of the herbs are used in a moderation, in a very specific way to enhance the nutrient value of that given food, as well as to impart the medicinal benefit to the food. So this is where our focus is on. In Ayurveda, the science of life, we intend to use food as a medicine, obviously all the time. Though you are healthy, you are required to focus on the same. Similarly, when you have any health issue, use food as a medicine. And in order to make the medicinal benefit into the food be well initiated, the usage of these herbs as a spice need to be very well known and understood. So it's a process of very traditional way of cooking. And for today's context, we'll be also talking about how to simplify this and be able to claim the benefit. So this is one very focus. The second focus will be to give you an idea of all those different things you see in the market. As you can see here in the PowerPoint presentation, the very herbs or maybe the very line of those products in your health stores, in the normal stores where you go buy the grocery. In these days, you are very much being able to note that every other day will have different stuff be promoted in very new fancy packaging. It looks very attractive, draws your attention about enhance the digestion quality or make a deep sleep very much possible by you, or even make the best support onto relieving constipation, which is most often taken into the help. So many perspective like bone health, women health, the memory boosting capacity, digestive to aphrodisiac, fertility boosting. There are many names given in to promote the sale of the herbs. So there are some images, as you could recall, visiting to the regular stores, health stores, some of them, the very lined up pharmaceutical, very well packaged, colorful, attractive herbs into waiting for you to bring home and start using. We need certain guidance definitely to make use of them. And I often feel when herbs are extensively marketed like this, as in today's scenario, they're often either misused or misunderstood, because many people think or they know that I know turmeric, I know pepper, I know the ashwagandha, and the very usage of the same is being tried many a times. I want to say they try on their body, they try on themselves before they come to a conclusion or before they optimize its benefit. This is something really scary, because these days we have been a lot looking onto the side effects, adverse effects of the herbs, and the clients do come in with those adverse effects very strongly presented after initiating the self-medication, even within 2 weeks, 3 weeks of starting to do the self-medication, they start to note these symptoms. So one more important element to focus on today's talk is to look onto the possibilities of these adverse effects and let you know, I do brief you up about why does this happen. So why the herb which was said to be a boon now starting to give an adverse effect. So why does this happen? So this is something very necessary to be known. So firstly, we all know that the herbs and spices are used extensively in cooking. In order to initiate an actual benefit, we need to start looking at including them in our routine life as a single herb. When they are mixed with the food, when they are cooked along with the food components like cereals, legumes, even boiling in water, there is a certain way they need to be handled. Unless so, they are not medicinally be claimable. Of course, it does a broad spectrum effect for us. A broad spectrum effect means, imagine turmeric is the most used culinary spice in Indian cooking. And in most of the vegetarian dish, you do add a small bit of turmeric. And there is a big note of why do we do that. This is to initiate anti-inflammatory effect, antibacterial effect, and also to enhance the flavor of the food. And you know, flavor does bring in more digestive juices. It makes it more appetizing. It makes it easily be digested by you. So those are all the benefit it serves when used in that context. And when you want to use it for a certain benefit, let's say turmeric to help antibacterial property or turmeric to help anti-inflammatory property. In fact, I would like to give an example here that allergies, most of the seasonal allergies, you can also notice it like a sudden change in season, hay fever, or may even consider the skin rashes, like urticarial skin rashes appeared onto a specific season like winter. So these conditions can be well treated by taking this simple herb turmeric into usage. But we should always remember that we should make a dosage according to the age of the person, the extent of disease what he is suffering from, and also look on to his tolerance to the spice. So we often take into consideration of the pH of the body. Is it acidic or alkaline pH the person is? Then the dosage has been fixed up. And that dosage has to go at least 3 to 4 weeks before the onset of that season, so that it is now strong enough to prevent the possibility of the disease, the allergies to not happen with that person in this upcoming season. So it is used as a routine, as a regimen plan, as a preventive regimen. So the same herb used in different context needs to be very well managed, and the receiver, the person who want to use it as a medicine, should be well educated about it. We also have to note that you should first understand the qualities of that herb and seek the help of a medical practitioner, an Ayurvedic practitioner, who will guide you about what's your tendency of being acidic or maybe being alkaline. And that way, the dosage is less or more. So the time of the usage, then frequency of the intake every day, in what form, whether it can be only powder or maybe a concoction prepared out of it, or multiple different herbal formulations can be used. So in this way, it is just an example. I'm meaning to tell you that the same herb used in food preparation versus used as a single herb needs to be differently handled. Then it is giving us the optimized benefit. And of course, we see many of the herbs like basil, holy basil, even when you look onto the ginger, they are used in the teas, like a herbal tea. Just boil in water and use it like a concoction. And some of the beautifying therapies also. So indeed, your spice box can be a treasure. It's a good way to start from the spice box, because firstly, you have been seeing those spices every now and then. So you're familiar of the herb. And once you're familiar of the very action of that herb, like what purpose it is serving, then with that education, you're better using it in a definite context. So for a beginner, this is something very, very safer. And in our tradition, in Ayurvedic lifestyle recommendation, there is a lot of focus on changing the spices, changing the oil for cooking in different season. Well, in summer season, it's all about using the cooling herbs. Some example can be the mint, cumin. Similarly, the food-wise, the cucumbers. Similarly, some coriander, the seeds of it or the fresh leaves of it, or even consider the coconut oil, is all for the summer regimen. So when used wisely, each of them, some of them are spices, some of them are actual herbs used as a spice in the cooking media. And one example of oil, what I gave you, will completely transform the medicinal benefit of the food, what you have cooked with those ingredients. So this can be a viable media of using day-to-day herbs as a medicinal advantage support into our daily food intake. So we'll go through little more details about understanding these herbs and their uniqueness. Later, I'll give time for question answers. And I know there'll be many questions regarding the usage of the herbs into some particular effective usage. Well, broadly speaking, as you can observe, the group of herbs, even some of the very single herbs, can be potentially used for detoxification. Similarly, some of them will help to improvise the skin tone, properly manage the bowel movement, aiding weight loss, similarly, optimizing the mental health. So there are different modalities the herbs are defining their actual benefit. So that means that the herbs have a specific target area to approach in our body. And when we use them wisely, then we are able to procure that specific benefit. So when used out of the context of reference, then it is not really doing the actual benefit for us. But still, consuming herbs in a mild to moderate dosage with the food is one safest way of uplifting your benefit from the food. What I mean is, keep using spices into your cooking, keep using the herbs into the usage according to the season in your cooking again, which is one most simple way of enhancing the medicinal benefit of the food you're serving yourself. So there are many things when you visit the shop or when you see in a herbal formulation section. Some of them are the herbal concoctions and like some specific herb like Triphala, for example, is a laxative, is an antioxidant, is also a digestive. So one mix of herbs, one specific herb carrying multiple benefits. So then how do you decide which one is good for you? How do you can very much pick up in a confident way and get to use them on a regular note? So this is something a very challenging part when it comes to start using herbs into daily usage. I'm sure all of you will be having some sort of question, some sort of dilemma in mind about, is it okay to use turmeric in this proportion? Is it okay to use your clove or cumin or cinnamon, many different things in different formulations? When you're adding, obvious, you will come to a kind of a confusion about, am I doing it okay or not? Which one I should be using on a regular note? So to solve this question, firstly, you have to see if you have any specific requirement or not. See if you need or find a necessary of using the herb for any specific requirement or not. If yes, then it's always wise enough to seek the help of a registered Ayurvedic practitioner. Because, like I said, herbs are used to treat a condition, definitely yes, but we actually look on to using the right dosage according to the person's requirement. So it's prescribed to a person, not for a specific condition only. I mean, the same herb be used in a different modality to a different person also for a same condition of problem, like constipation or maybe hyperacidity. So Triphala is used in both of these two contexts, but the way it is used, like either a powder form or a decoction form, or maybe tablet or lehyam, the concoction made out of it, or the ghrita, the medicated ghee. So the way they are prepared will also be taking up the responsibility of enhancing the very true medicinal property of the herbs. So first point at this stage, I need all of you to think about what is your specific requirement. Know your needs. List down if there are more than 2. I'm sure with chronic ailments, people will have different requirements. Maybe, like I mentioned, digestion support, or maybe bowel regulation, or sleep enhancement, or like all the 3, maybe all the 3 in one line. So if your requirement is more, then we may have to get into a combination of a proportion of different herbs, which we call as a group of herbs boiled into a decoction or a ghee formation. So your Ayurvedic practitioner will decide which ones will be most suitable for your requirement. If no homework is done in this regard, if you have not listed your requirements, then definitely you will end up taking this one, that one, many more single herbs, what you find on the shelf, and overloading with the dosage of many herbs and still not finding the proper benefit. And this will be very discouraging. I'm sure many over there would have gone through this situation, and now it's good that you took time to take guidance as well as get to educate yourself about this topic, and then you will be much better handling yourself in future. So firstly, get to know what's your requirement. As I mentioned already, it's also important to note your individual tolerance, your individual body type, what we call as Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And this is also being done by an Ayurvedic practitioner. And of course, some of the questionnaires, some self-observation, you will also get to know how good is your tolerance to some of the spices already when you have used them in the cooking. Just to carry forward with the same example of turmeric, I would like to say that turmeric is a strong herb. It is a lot used as a spice in Indian cooking. Being very strong, it has a lot of strong alkaloids, which makes it acidic. When we take it in a good proportion every day for 2 times a day or 3 times a day, it definitely creates acid pH in the stomach. So if you already have acidity, tendency for being onto an acidic pH range, then this spice, when taken in a daily dosage, this volume can definitely flare up the acidity. So there is a way we can make to handle it properly. So as I mentioned to you already, we will help to manage the usage of the herb in different way, like ghee prepared with it, or maybe boil it with milk. Maybe some organic milk will also be good acid neutralizer, or may even boil it with water or take it with honey. So there are different adjuvants done. Adjuvant is a catalyst which possesses a stimulation to liberate the active alkaloids from the herb. A catalyst can make the medicinal value of that herb get to accelerate 2 times, 3 times as it is or than what it is. Similarly, when wrongly used, like I said, creating more acidity and start to feel more adverse effect. So on that note, let you understand, be clear with the understanding that the herbs are used for a whole person. The person may have different problems, the disease concern, but the herb is very much made to work on a person, an individual dosha of that person, and not just for a symptom or a condition. So this is one line answer for all of those observations, what you have done already by taking these several herbs already for a different requirement. Okay, so at this point of time, I wait for Chrissy. If there is any questions, let me know, then we proceed.
Okay, so yeah, if anybody has a question, you can type in the chat, or you can use your reaction button to raise your hand. Okay, so I don't see any questions in the chat right now, Dr. Shashi.
Okay, so
Okay. Vijay has some question.
we'll proceed further now.
Vijay has it.
Okay, what's the
Sure.
question?
Okay, Shashirekha ji, you mentioned about the turmeric. Were you mentioning about use of turmeric in cooking, or if people are taking it separately, like with milk or water,
Yes.
on quantity?
Yeah, when I mentioned about this acid pH be raised up with turmeric, this is when they do separately as a good dosage 2 or 3 times a day for a specific condition.
So for somebody with pitta dosha, you got to be a little bit more careful about it, right?
Very much, yes. They even can start to have bleeding per rectum.
Yeah, see, one of the things I see, and you showed those shelves filled with all Ayurvedic medicines there, and there are people just take them willy-nilly. There's ashwagandha and this and that, and sometimes people mix them together. And so would you say that that could turn out dangerous?
Very much, yes. Very much possible, yes.
So
Especially
without
after COVID, we've been seeing a lot of such reporting of adverse effects bought from these herbal combinations tried on themselves without properly getting to know about their actual strength or the properties. Because some of the herbs are really very heavy to digest, like ashwagandha. Okay, I remember talking about in now one more talk where the digestion capacity of the person is really less, and if he start feeding himself with ashwagandha every day once in a dosage of 1 teaspoon or 1 or 2 tablets, because it is heavy and it is taken at night to enhance the sleep quality, then the digestion capacity being not so strong enough, they end up suffering from very hyperacidity, similarly slow sluggish digestion, leading them to have constipation. So one leading into the other complexity. So this is where we need a proper guidance. First, list down your requirements. Okay, this is some homework all of us should be doing when we want to use herbs, potentially even in food, to increase or decrease a specific herb, to season for any food. It's good that we list down our requirement. The requirement can be of that day also. For example, yesterday you had a very heavy meal, night there was a party or a function, and since morning you're feeling really heavy and the digestion is not so well satisfied, then just on that note, morning and afternoon serving yourself with buttermilk treated with the hing asafoetida can be a safer medicine. You know what is asafoetida? Hing.
Okay, Dr. Shashi, there is a question about anything for hypothyroid.
Definitely yes. Hypothyroid condition is well treated with a herbal combination. It's not just one single herb. It's a combination of herbs called Kanchanara Gugulu. Kanchanara Gugulu comes with more than 2 herbal combination. Gugulu as one main ingredient. We have this tablet available readily in some good pharmaceutical company. Looking onto your thyroid level, your body weight, the age of that individual, and of course, analyzing the dosha, the dosage of the same, and the diet to very much help associate the metabolic support needed to be implemented.
Thank you for that, Dr. Shashi. And we have another one. Hi, Dr. Shashi. Had a question about what herbs are beneficial for vision. I'm asking for my dad who has macular degeneration.
Well, macular degeneration needs to be attended with a very group of treatments or treatment modality, I can say. And the modalities of eye treatments in Ayurveda consists of some eye exercises and some local treatment for the eye. Okay, apart from that, one most beneficial herb is Triphala ghee. The ghee prepared from the Triphala. So this is one of the best help for vision clarity and the improvement of the eyesight.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat, but people are thanking you for that information, Dr. Shashi.
Okay, fine. Well, before moving on to the next subject, I would like to continue with the questions what we had. Here, there is something very important we all must know and be informed about. That is, alone having a spice or a herb in your daily intake, just like a diet supplementation, is not completely enough to treat most of the metabolic ailments. Just like diabetes or thyroid imbalance or high blood pressure, let you know that they are called as metabolic derangements. So to help return back the stability of the metabolism, alone a single herb is totally insufficient. Let you know that there has to be a combination to be worked upon with a proper diet be well framed out for that particular person's requirement, and imparting the physical activity. Especially in Ayurveda, we do promote the yoga practice, specific asanas, postures for a particular organ is emphasized. I mean, for thyroid problem, the poses which stretch the thyroid gland. We have poses like camel pose, the shoulder stand. It's also called as Sarvangasana. So depending upon the person's flexibility and his fitness level, we will propose him list of some of these asanas to be practiced every single day. So what happens is the organ, the area, the thyroid area is being well stimulated to increase the blood flow. When the blood flow increases locally, more oxygen is made available and more nutrient flow is made available for that specific organ. So obvious that within few weeks, the metabolic support stimulation tend to get happen. And that has been very well managed with the diet specified for that particular disease. And of course, using a single herb or a combination of herb to help reverse back the metabolic derangement will be utilized. This is how it's a whole program of reinstituting the functional balance of that particular body part or an organ or a hormone in specific. So there is no shortcut. Absolutely, you just take one herb and just get rid of all the symptoms. It doesn't happen, especially when there is a chronic establishment of the disease process in the body. And many a times the symptoms are very, very subtle, very low grade of symptom presentation. When people do notice that, it would have been already years after they have started to have that complaint in their body. In that particular context, alone a single herb is not able to cure or reverse the progression of that disease in the body. Okay. Well, let's talk about some precautions. I did mention about recently we have been noticing a lot of side effects or maybe untoward effect of using herbs on a daily go. especially post-COVID, it's been observed that the herbs, these spices are pretty much widely available for everybody, and the information about them is also a lot flowing in the internet media. So people do take a chance to experiment with themselves. And this is where, with some people, it works good. In some, or in many people, they have started seeing the very side effects. So obvious, there are few important things we must notice. That is, after knowing our requirement, we should find out what formulation or what herb works for us, and then get to decide the dosage, and then reinstitute your physical activity and a diet plan to enhance the very efficacy of this herbs used on a daily go. Secondly, we also have to be very noting to be careful about if we are taking any other medication. Maybe some other medication means it could be being on allopathic medication for a different condition, or maybe some naturopathy, or maybe some kind of alkaloid distillation, homeopathy medicines. For a same cause, if multiple different medication is being offered, you should always know that this is going to derange the metabolism. It's a dangerous thing, should not be done. Imagine you're on antihypertensive medicine of allopathy, and you're also taking the antihypertensive medicine herb from this Ayurvedic list. So both being stronger, the very chances of bringing in a very low blood pressure and may even, fainting, those chances is very much possible. So never do that. Let the Ayurvedic practitioner know if you are already on any medication or not. Some of the medications will interfere with the activity of the herbs. So we should be careful enough in that condition what to choose and what formulation works good. So never take that challenge on your own. Let your Ayurvedic practitioner do this job for you. Be frank enough to admit if you are taking any other medication. Then secondly, if you are having any chronic ailments, any chronic, more than 2 years, more than 3 years, if you are suffering from any of the ailment, that you also mention about that, because again, selecting the herb for a different requirement should not interfere with the deranged metabolism of that chronic ailment. Thirdly, most important also, if you are pregnant or lactating women, if you are nursing the infants, then also the herbs to be carefully managed for you. Apart from this, in today's scenario, we also see that there's a lot of adulteration done for herbs, like mixing the wood powder is often mixed into herbal powders. Similarly, color. Turmeric is the most kind of adulterated herb in terms of using chromium yellow color into the wood powder. So whenever you procure the herb for self-usage, it's always good to rely upon a medical practitioner so that he does a screening already, because maybe most of you know that FDA doesn't regulate the herbs. So now, in that case, most of us, when we just see the fancy packages lying on the shelf in any food store, we are at the mercy of those manufacturers to know about the efficacy of the herb or the content, what it is inside the package. So instead of that, let you take the help of a medical attendant who screens these possibilities, and then the strength of those herbs used in it, the alkaloid percentage can be very well managed. So less is more when it comes to usage of these herbal combinations. We do not need too much of a dosage. The very activity of those herbal combinations are strong enough to help us with a minimal dosage. So this is one thing we do have to be taking precaution about.
Dr. Shashi, I believe Ashok has a question.
Yeah.
Yes, if we can, let's see, I'll unmute. I'm sorry, I'm unable to unmute. Ashok, can you, there we go.
No, I just typed the same question. Just want to know, are there any specific herbs that can be consumed to enhance the sleep, quality of sleep?
Yeah, definitely. The choice can be in between the ashwagandha or the brahmi, jatamansi, or a combination of all of these three. Because again, looking onto your digestion ability, if you are a pitta personality or a kapha personality, we will choose the brahmi. If you have a very acidic pH, then brahmi works more good for you. So single herb best to be taken in their fresh form. Like if accessible, it's good to use it like a decoction, like boil in water and then use it as a decoction, or else powder taken in warm water and close to your bedtime. It could be post dinner, about 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later can be an ideal time.
Okay. Thank you.
Shashirekha ji?
Yeah.
So I guess it's not quite safe to say that Ayurvedic herbs have no side effects, right? Just based on everything that you just said. And so at a store here, see, Triphala is the combination of those three, that Amla, Baheda, and Herde.
Yes.
So at the store, I was asking them, do you know if this is equal proportions?
Has
And
to.
the guy said, I have no idea. I said, can you contact the manufacturer to find out? Because I know that the proportions can be different for different conditions, right? I mean, a third, one third, one third, one third is one, and then there's like a 3-2-1 proportions, and different combinations would be suitable for different conditions. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. But when the packaging says Triphala in any form, if it is powder or tablet, it has to be equal proportion of the three fruits, Amla, the Haritaki, Vibhitaki. So in many different contexts, it is used differently. Like for constipation relief, it is taken at a definite time of the day in a definite volume. If it is related to digestion help, then 3 times a day, 10-15 minutes before food, it has to be given. So the frequency, the quantity, and the very timings of intake differ for a different requirement. The same Triphala, for a digestion help, 3 times before food, right? The same Triphala for constipation, post-dinner, 10-15 minutes later, just before going to bed, that serves the purpose. So this is how they are played with the very frequency, the volume of intake, the adjuvant, what is used.
So when do they change the proportions, like the Amla 3 and Baheda and Harirake, the 3-2-1, is that for specific situations?
Yes, yeah, for a very specific situation. So then it is done like that. Otherwise, if you see any product naming Triphala, it will have 3 equal proportion.
Equal proportions. And people trained in Ayurveda, are they aware of the allopathic medications, the pharmacology of Ayurveda? I mean, not Ayurvedic. I mean, allopathic medications.
Yes. That's good.
Yeah,
it's good that you asked me this question.
Yeah.
However, I was about to tell you about the syllabus, what we have as an Ayurvedic graduate and postgraduate. In the graduation, we study all these subjects like anatomy, physiology, pharmacology, pathology. It's the body study, so it's not going to change. So you have to understand how is the structure, how is the normal functioning of the body. Similarly, when it comes to the subject pharmacology, it's good to note that we have a syllabus made to compare and study the effect of the herbal functionality with that of the alkaloid or the Western medicine pharmacopoeia, like paracetamol. 500 milligrams of paracetamol, how much time does it take to work on fever? Same way, the 500 milligram of Amrita, Guduchi, it is also called in Sanskrit. So this herb does antipyretic help, reduce the fever, the same action it does. So how much time Guduchi takes versus how much time paracetamol takes. So like that, the pharmacology is being studied. And it's interesting to note that we have more than 2,000 herbs listed in Charaka Samhita, that is Indian pharmacopoeia, and 750 herbs listed in Sushruta Samhita. So these are our reference material, and the way it is detailed is it explains about the place of origin of these herbs. Every single herb, they start explaining about what is the natural habitat, which part of the year they are best used for a medicinal benefit, how to collect them, and how to preserve them for usage, and the different types of Ayurvedic medicines, what you see, like tablets or decoctions, they're all made to stabilize and enhance the medication property of them, and also to increase the shelf life. So this is how they are done. So definitely when you talk about a person having been on high blood pressure medication, let's say he's already taking high blood pressure medication for 3-4 years of allopathy, then we will be knowing what to put on, like a herbal combination that doesn't disturb the antihypertensive medicine action or does more reduce the blood pressure of that person. So we are very much educated about that.
That's good to know, because it's not the other way around. So people that are trained in Western pharmaceutical products, they have absolutely no clue what's happening in the world of Ayurveda.
I'll tell you why this big syllabus was being made into Ayurvedic study, because way back long years before, when Ayurveda was not so a popular line of treatment offered in India, there was a necessary to prove the efficacy of the herbs. So the university, Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences, took up registering the study on herbs and holding a patency of the same into its name. So the time they started, within 15-20 years, they kind of did all of those herbs, rechecked, researched for their efficacy in terms of modern pharmacopoeia. Like I said, Guduchi as Guduchi as antipyretic. Similarly, Sarpagandha as antihypertensive. So the alkaloids, they're extracted, they are studied under the norms of the modern pharmacopoeia. So that's how the syllabus of Indian pharmacopoeia is made, and it's a very big syllabus studied for an absolute 3 years by us.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, Dr. Shashi, there's no other questions in the chat, so if you want
So
to
we'll move on. We'll move on to know that the herbs you see on the shelf of your favorite Whole Foods or the Indian or organic stores, they'll be of different tradition. You should know that not only Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, African medicine also have a list of herbs. Just to give some example, most of you would love chamomile tea, right? So chamomile tea comes from African tradition. Similarly, most of you would have known about the ginseng, red ginseng. This is the most used Chinese herb. Okay, and rest all like amla, triphala comes from Ayurveda. So what I want to tell you over here is, when herbs are used out of their tradition, imagine you don't know about that tradition, the way you have to be using, then they are often misunderstood and misused. When you don't know the very way they had to be used, and simply starting to buy and incorporating into your daily list of wellness addition, you will not enjoy that benefit. And these two examples, what I just told you now, do require again a personalized dosage formation, then the frequency of their intake, what time of the day they are best absorbed into the body, only when we are able to claim an optimum benefit. So I already talked to you about the ways the herbs or herbal formulations are prepared. This is mostly to enhance the shelf life of the herb as well as increase the absorption capacity of the herbs and herbal formulations. Some of them are pretty much easy to be obtained and stored in the form of the powder. Most of the things you find in the stores is the powder, single herb. Some of them are juices also. And if you are accessible to the fresh herb usage, it's always good to claim the complete benefit of it. If not, the tablets, the capsules, the decoctions, similarly, herbal ghee, medicated ghee, which is making the storage shelf life be enhanced. At the same time, the concentration of the herbs be used for a definite concentration is made more stronger. This is the reason we have these many varieties. I know it can be very confusing to hear about all of these information. Similarly, when you go and look at the different boxes in front of you in the store, it literally makes to rise up a lot of confusion. So it's always good, list up your requirement first, approach a medical attendant, an Ayurvedic practitioner to seek the guidance, and do use only when necessary. I do want to emphasize, we all do not require to use all the herbs for the well-being, vitality, enhancing skin tone or digestion. Many a times, a small change in our lifestyle, a small change in the timings of the food intake, maybe even consider a proper attention to your stress can relieve most of the problem. Just eating one herb is not a solution for all the trouble you go through. So be frank in admitting the concern of yours, talk to the Ayurvedic practitioner, and thereby you'll be able to very well take up the advantage. Okay. Similarly now, one more very important element of concern is about the storage. For how long you can bring home a powder and store it and keep taking it. Every herb has a potency duration. More better when it is used fresh. When it is made into a different formulation, like boiled, like a decoction, or made into a herbal ghee, then the storage, the potency is still preserved for a extra duration. But however, the very potency can fade down on shelf, especially if it is not stored in a right environment. Maybe some of them go mold, or some of them are kind of lost the smell of it, or maybe even the crystallization happens of the ghee. So they all show the way the potency is being lost. So always try to procure from the nearest outlet or a practitioner. Use it only for that defined duration, and don't keep on using the same herb for years together. That's also one more way of not procuring the complete advantage of the herbs. Okay, so coming on to how to find herbal experts. As I told you, if you're using the, sorry for that, if you're using any herb or herbal combination or find a necessary, then do see the very practitioner of that particular tradition. Like, for example, if you want to include, or if you wonder how to use some Chinese herb, it's always good to approach a Chinese expert. And as most of the herbal list we have in Ayurveda, and it comes along with some specific food guidance as well as lifestyle changeover, a wholesome approach into stability of the health has to be applied. So then you will be able to find a solution for the problem and just keep enjoying the food as a medicine and not really requiring to use medicine for a long duration. So some of the commonly used herbs are just listed over here, and these are pretty much safer to be used in moderation. I tell you, in moderation is just like as small dosage as a pinch to even half a teaspoon a day can be fine. As I said, less is more when it comes to herbs or spices. Less is more because you're using for a purpose and you're using separately from the food. That's how the actual benefit can be much accelerated. So turmeric, we all know, for anti-inflammatory property, anti-cancerous property. So learn to use them in cooking wisely. If you're not in a special concern, then having it in cooking will be very much helping you to seek the benefit. Similarly, ashwagandha, I told you already, it's going to be a little heavy to digest. So learn to use it wisely. If in requirement, the decoction can be a preferable choice. Tulsi, we all know, is one best antiviral. So before your winter, if you start drinking Tulsi decoction, just boil the Tulsi in a decoction, have it like a herbal tea. Just a small cup of 50 ml to 80 ml is enough to serve the benefit. Use it warm, use it freshly prepared. Ginger, in cooking, you will see a lot big benefit when you add few chopped ginger and cook your soup or use it in your herbal tea. A lot of betterment in your digestion will be observed. Amla is an excellent source of vitamin C, antioxidant. So 1 amla a day, eating it fresh. Okay, if you have an accessibility, have it fresh. If not, the powder into hot water. Either boil or just drink along with warm water. So once a day will help immune boosting property. A significant dosage of vitamin C will be very well guaranteed in your daily usage. Then comes Triphala. We spoke about it already. It is one of the most used herbal combination. A digestive, laxative, eyesight improving, and antioxidant too. Brahmi is a memory booster. At the same time, is also a sleep promoter. It helps you calm down, concentrate very well, enhance the memory. So it's very safe even to be given to children. Of course, again, the dosage goes according to the body weight of the person. Neem is an excellent purifier, blood purifier we use. We also use it as an antiseptic. It's also a lot used in organic farming as a way to enhance the fertility of the soil as well as work like warding of the pest. So similarly, internally, it is a blood purifier. Cinnamon, we know it supports an excellent relaxation, aids in weight loss, even in high blood pressure, cinnamon is used. Fenugreek seeds is also a best glucose modulator. It works for blood sugar management. So using it in cooking, like sprouts of fenugreeks or the powder of it taken with warm water separately out of the food is one simple way to maintain and regulate the blood glucose level. So to claim all of these individual benefit, the best thing is to get to know the very particular requirement. Secondly, know your digestion capacity, then tolerance to that spices, then which particular formulation it is best usable. Looking onto that, the planning has to be done. So without a proper plan, obvious, you'll be consuming that for a long period of time, unnecessary usage, thereby you create the demand in the market. Because of that demand, unnatural further growth of the herb is more promoted, and which is obviously harmful for the environment, at the same time for the tradition of Ayurveda. So it's all our responsibility to use the herbs very wisely, respectfully, so that it is made very effective for us. So I'm sure with this small guidance, you're enlightened with the basic information about the way the herbs need to be handled in your daily usage. Let me know if you have any more questions.
Okay, so yes, you can type your questions in the chat if you would like. And I did put in the chat one of the name of the herb that Dr. Shashi mentioned for hypothyroid.
On the list of 10 herbs that you have there, I guess moringa powder is not considered a herb, right?
It is a supplement, like
Okay.
it's vegetarian meat, I can say. It's loaded with iron, calcium, protein, B vitamin complex. So it's a good substitute as a nutrient support.
Okay, so it's more of a food rather than a herb.
Yeah.
It's herb and more of food, more nutrition. Then
Yes.
okay. All right. And then my Ayurveda teacher, my Ayurveda class mentioned in Marathi we call it muravra. So
Mhm.
this is amla that's soaked in
Oh,
sugar
I know.
solution. You know, okay.
Murabba.
Murabba, yeah. So we get that in a can over here, and of course you have to take all that sugar out because
Yes.
it's but the sugar is soaked in there. So is that it's not as effective as fresh? We don't get fresh amla here in the US.
Yeah, I know. But
yeah.
however, the powder, what you get, the fresh powder,
Yeah.
okay, that can be very well replaced for your requirement. Because
Okay.
this murabba is more enjoyed like a delicacy.
Yeah. With food, with your meal rather than.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Like a soury, kind of a tangy, astringent, like a dish post dinner, post meal.
Now, in the Indian stores, we do get amla in the frozen section. Is that just as effective as fresh amla then?
Yeah, just look at the duration of the, like the content, the packaging.
Expiration.
So
Yeah.
as early to be used as possible, within the duration of a month or so, it's absolutely fine.
Okay, great.
Dr. Shashi, how about using pickle? Amla pickles are the same. Are they good? I mean, I know we can't get fresh amla probably here. Is it something that you recommend?
To claim the benefit of the amla, choosing pickle is not a good idea because while pickled, again, it is concentrated with salt. Just like the opposite we just spoke about, murabba is soaked in the sugar. This is more immersed in the salt and the spices. But however, pickle as a ingredient in your meal, like a small piece, can very well play a good role in bringing in good microbiome, which we call it as gut helping bacteria, like fermented food. Okay, so a small amount will still serve the purpose of enhancing the nutrient value of the food. Look on to any particular ailment like high blood pressure. If the person is suffering from some thyroid ailment and all, they are not really encouraged to have pickle, but rest all is fine to have a small piece of it once a day.
Okay. Doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be amla pickle. It can be even, other pickles too, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And of course, obviously, these amla candies and other things made, they're not necessarily have the medical benefits, I guess.
Eventually, they'll fade down the alkaloids when it is mixed with either the sugar or the salt. So, if you want to claim the vitamin C benefit and antioxidant benefit from amla, it's always good to have the powder, which is easily accessible. Okay. And next option can be, if you have accessibility to the frozen one, get to use it like as fresh as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Sashi, I have a question regarding amla. So hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, hi. Can we just, like grate it and squeeze out all the juice and, have it instead of having the amla because, it's easier to consume in juice form, yeah. Is that okay?
very much
Or
okay. As long as it is freshly made, it's fine. Or
yeah,
if you
fresh.
want to preserve it, like the grated one, if you want to preserve it, again, let you know that the potency of it starts to fade down. So,
Got
so try in a different modality. If you are accessible to the fresh one, eat the amla. I know for first few bites it feels little not so palatable, but really a different taste what hits your tongue, like some astringency, some sour, will increase the saliva to a great extent, which is like a lot digestive help, which immediately absorbs the vitamin C content what this very wonder fruit is offering you. So try enjoy different taste, and this is one more way you can be very well incorporating these changes.
Right. And now, would it be okay to, have it along with the celery juice? Mix some avla juice and celery juice, or does it have to be had only by itself, either in a juice form
Yeah,
or fresh?
fine. As long as it is fresh, it's fine.
Okay.
Like you prepare now and drink it now.
Okay, like along with celery or some greens. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Sashi.
Now the juice shouldn't be stored, right? I'm glad
Never.
Lily talked about the juice side. So once you store it, it starts losing its potency, right? I mean,
Yes.
squeeze it fresh and drink it.
Yeah.
Don't try to refrigerate it or anything.
No.
Right.
Because vitamin C is highly volatile in nature. So most of the vitamin C, which is a water-soluble vitamin, starts to fade down the potency when kept open or outside.
Right. Oxidizing. So the
So
amla
the
candy.
color,
Yeah. So the
color
amla candy.
changes.
Yeah. The amla candy is more a candy than amla, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Also, Dr. Sashi, one more quick question, like the time of the day. Does it need to be like taken in the morning, first thing in the morning, or is there a particular time when
I
one
got you.
can?
Yeah, definitely when you are looking for a specific purpose to be served by these single herbs, it's always proposed to take it as a first food of the day. In empty stomach, you take that first, and then about half an hour later, you're allowed to eat or drink anything later. In that way, the body is very much made able to absorb the fullest alkaloid percentage of that herb. So you'll be asked to use only a small content, small dosage, but claim a lot big benefit from it.
Got it. Yeah. And is it possible to reverse hypothyroidism if one has it, say, for the last 4-5 years? You know?
Of course, recent onset hypothyroidism or any hypo or hyperthyroidism is treated in a way with these three-dimensional approach. I told you already the herbal formulation, what I mentioned to you, plus the practice of these specific asanas for a period of 30 to 40 minutes each day, every single day, and some dietary changes. Put together, the three-way approach makes it really strong enough to stabilize the metabolism. So you are asked to do this for a period of 3 months consistently, and then take a repeat evaluation of your thyroid profile. Thereby, we get to know how is the very balance between thyroid stimulating hormone, T3, T4, all the three. Based upon that, you'll be guided further to reduce the dosage of the medicine or just be relying upon the food and the particular yoga practice to keep on stabilizing it. Let me tell you that it is a metabolic derangement which need to be consistently managed for a lifetime. But taking a medicine is not really necessary for whole of that lifetime. If you monitor it well with all of these guidelines, you can definitely get rid of the usage of the medicine.
Okay. Also, so when one is going through this Ayurvedic treatment, like you suggested for the first 3 months we monitor, so that time one takes the allopathic medicine as well, like continues, with say levothyroxine, or
Not necessarily, depending upon your present thyroid profile, that can be decided.
right. Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Sashi.
Any more questions?
We do not have any in the chat. So yes, if you have any last questions, you can type in the chat or raise your hand to be or unmute and ask your question.